Hello, Maxine here with Tink and I Treasures. Welcome back to my studio. Today we are continuing with our little folio that is from Pink Monarch Prints. It's a template. I will remind you, it's a template that you print out like this. It has all the pieces, all the markings for where you fold, where you cut, all that. And then, so here we are. This is what we have done so far. If you recall, I boo-booed. This wing tip, this wing needs to be attached to the main body before you line it. So this part here is covered, and I failed to do that. This piece also is meant to go here, but again, I didn't do that before I covered the front. So I am going to change the location of this piece. Here is the first one I made, and this is where it is intended to go. And as you can see, it's, hidden underneath, underneath this backing. But yeah, so, but we are crafters, and we can redo things on the fly if things go wrong, which we know they do. Try and square that up a little bit more. We can adjust, we can adapt, we can MacGyver our way out of it. So that's what I'm going to do with this piece. So as we're continuing, so as you open it, you have this flip here, this flip that we've added. And on here is where, not that, on here is where these 3 pockets are placed. Okay, and the first video I showed, I didn't show cutting out the pieces. I spared you from that, but I did show covering the pieces with your paper. Whatever digital kit you choose to use is fine. I do have a link to this digital kit, which is Whispering Florals, and it's also from Pink Monarch Prints. But you can use any digital that you like. So I showed covering these 2 pieces. That was a pretty long video, and I decided you don't need to see that a time and time again. So on these, I covered just the front because the back we're not seeing. So here, I did print out the ephemera pieces. That is the kit. I don't know if you buy the ephemera pieces separately. You might. I'm not sure now. But anyway, I had the ephemera pieces, so I did print those out. Here's some of them. I've cut into them a lot. There's some other pieces like this. It's a really neat kit. Anyway, so again, I only covered the front, and this one as well. This one is the front pocket, which shows the most. So I did a little bit of embellishing and decorating on that with some of the pieces from the kit. So these go here, right? But this guy got forgotten. And so my fix is that I'm going to attach that piece here, and then it will be covered by this group of pockets. So very clever on my part. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with that. So anyway, but that's what we do, isn't it? We're crafters, and we figure things out, and we make allowances for mistakes. We laugh it off, and we continue on, and keep calm and continue crafting. So I am just going to put this right about in here and make sure that gets stuck down really well. It's pretty thick, so, and we want to let that dry a little bit too. Anyway, as I talked about in the first video, another good option for this template is to cut out the pieces and then get a double-sided scrapbook pad and, you know, use the template to just cut out the corresponding pieces from a two-sided scrapbook pad. That's, you know, is it more cutting? I'm not even sure if it would be more cutting or not, but that would be a really good alternative to what I'm doing here. The first one I did, I actually printed on one. I printed out the template. So I printed out the template, right? And then I put the paper back in the printer and printed on this side, so I could still see, you know, where you fold, where you cut, you know, all that kind of thing. So I printed on this side, and that's this one. So some pieces I had to line the back of, you know, like the inside here, I had to line, you know, this back area and this back area, this back area. But I had a little less control over what pieces were what color or design, if that makes sense. And so even though that was kind of a brilliant way, I thought at the time, I also realized that it's limiting. Doing it this way, where I cut out the pieces and then applied the paper to the individual pieces, I had a lot more control over what color, you know, like for example, all three of these pockets are on one sheet of the template. If you printed it on the back, you would only have one choice. You wouldn't have different choices. Does that make a difference? I don't know. You don't see a whole lot of these two pockets, so, you know, maybe it makes a difference, maybe it doesn't. Maybe what you choose to print is very neutral, maybe like this coffee dyed type look. Maybe you print everything with this and then you embellish from there, or you could totally cover it with something else if you wanted to. I mean, you know, that's a choice too. But anyway, so we are continuing with our little endeavor, and that wants to go down like that. I am using double stick tape in areas because, and if I didn't mention it or if you didn't see it in the description, I did print these on the template. You need to print that on a heavier duty paper, cardstock. I believe mine is 110 pound. I don't know what that is in GSM. I think that's the measurement they use in the UK perhaps. But my package, I believe, says 110 pound. So it's pretty substantial. And then when you start covering it, especially if you're covering both sides, well, it gets pretty thick. It gets pretty thick. So that's why in some places I am using the double stick tape, because there's just more to hold, if that makes sense. I don't know that makes sense, but so I'm putting some art glitter for one reason, because if you put liquid glue over double stick tape, you have a little bit more wiggle room in the placement. If you don't have anything over double stick tape, it's going to grab just like that, and you have no choice. You have no chance of repositioning or anything if you got it wrong. So, and I'm all about mitigating mistakes if I can. So, you're probably wondering why I put this down like this, okay? So sometimes on these pockets where you have what I refer to as wings, especially the bottom wing, sometimes when you're putting things in there, that things snag on this wing. If you just have it, you know, glued in like this, well, things get caught up on this bottom wing. And so what I'm using now, this is like, you know, I don't know what it's called exactly. You get it in the drugstore in the medical supplies area. You know, it's some kind of tape they use for dressing, bandages or what have you. But it works really good for things like this. And it's, I don't know if it's any less expensive than other kinds of tape. I mean, you could use any kind of tape. You could use Scotch tape. You could use what's that other tape? Oh, it has gone out of my head. I'm sorry. It has gone. What is the other tape? You could use Scotch tape. You could use, you know, it'll come to me later. You know, a couple hours from now, I will know the name of the Scotch tape. Is that it? No. Okay. Well, anyway, I think you get what I mean. You could use a lot of different kinds of tapes for this. It doesn't have to be anything, you know, specific. Just any tape will do. I wouldn't use washi tape. That's the one tape I would not use, is washi tape. Okay, because yeah, that's not gonna hold. That's not. I wouldn't use washi tape for anything that has any importance. You know what I mean? It's great for, you know, decorating. I like using it in collages or on tags or journaling cards, you know, as a design element. It's fine. But for structural purposes, no. not even. So I'm going to line this one up like so. Push that down. Open this up. And you saw that I tore the tape. So I'm going to use that other piece on this one. It doesn't have to be a lot, just enough to keep that down so it's not interfering. These side ones, they're usually not an issue. It's just that bottom one. I don't know if you've ran across that or not, but it's so frustrating when you're trying to put a tag or a journaling card in there and you know it should fit, and yet it keeps getting caught on some and won't seed all the way down. You know what I mean? And it's so frustrating. Anyway, that's a fix for that. Not just this project, of course. Any project. Any time you're doing wings on a pocket, just remember to cover that bottom wing so it doesn't cause problems for you. I hope everyone's doing well, enjoying this project. I hope you're enjoying this project. And like I said, you don't necessarily have to buy the folio from the Folio kit or templates. You know, you can do this on your own. I gave the general measurements, you know, of the folder itself in the first one, so you know, you can always just go from there. I don't even need that, really. You can make it your own size, whatever size you want to make it. I picked this as a project because it's simple. Some folios I've seen people do, you know, things are folded funny. They have all these flips going this way and that. They use envelopes and, you know, they put the envelopes together, you know, and hey, baby, come here. Baby's here to say hi. You coming to say hi, baby? Huh? Baby? Yeah? Yeah? What else? Oh. What else, baby? Yeah, he's a sweetheart. He's our Maine Coon. And he's just a little love. Well, he's not little. He's a big old goof, aren't you, baby? Huh? You're a big old goof. He is the sweetest cat, though, I tell ya. There is not a mean bone in him. He never lashes out. Sometimes he'll snag you with his little fingernails, but not intentionally. He never lashes out. He is just a sweetheart. Okay, so these are all glued in, and we've got this one nicely hid underneath. So if we open it up, let's look at this one. If we open it up on this flap here, we have this 3-pocket thing. So I have it here already cut out, and I only covered the front, and I did do some decorating with the ephemera, so I'm sorry if that disappoints, but you know, you've seen people do ephemera before, right? I mean, you know. My videos have a tendency to be kind of long anyway. I don't know why, but there we go. See, it goes right like that. Hope I'm in frame. Okay, so again, I'm going to use a piece of double stick tape across the bottom. Like I said, if you varnish this down really well, like this, then pulling it up is a whole lot easier, I have found. I don't know why, but it just is. So we're going to run some glue over that tape again to keep that tape from grabbing right away and ruining any chance of repositioning. And I just want to make sure of where that fold is, that I'm not going too far over. And then I'm trying to get it centered between the top and the bottom. And there we go. And like that. And we're going to get out our tape. I'm almost out of this tape. I don't recall using it that much, but obviously I have. And I'm going to try and tear this in half because we have the other one to do as well. So I'm just trying to be frugal with it. Oops. Okay, so you just place it over so some of it is sticking on both sides, and it just, like I said, it just holds that down and keeps that from being an issue when you're trying to put things in, get things in and out of it. Okay. Hold that over. Stick it down. Oh shoot. Oh, good. Forgot. So these little dots right here, that means that's where a line of glue goes. And I've actually folded along there so I can see it better. That's why I did that. So I folded along there. You can see where I've, you know, inked it. But I folded so I could see where to run that bead of glue. Just a small little bead of glue right up where those dots are. Okay. So, I can't see to put that little pin back. Oh my goodness. Okay, so, and we've got these little guys that go in there. Now, I ran these through the sewing machine. You really can't see. I don't believe you can anyway on the camera because I am using kind of a cream colored thread. But I laid this out and I sewed just the one side. I put the tab on the one side, had it open like this, and then sewed across here. So instead of, because if I had this tab over, you know, or I sewed like that, then you wouldn't be able to open this, right? So now it opens all the way. And It's just more of a journaling spot, really. So slide that right in there. And because we put that tape in there, we're not catching on anything. It slides right in. So that is a tip that will save you lots of aggravations down the road in all your projects. You're welcome. There we go. Oh, where's the other one? Oh, there it is. So this one I didn't do. So basically it's a strip like this. And instead of using the template, I just measured the template and cut out strips using my cutter to the measurement of what the templates were, because I thought that perhaps in this application that maybe the cardstock might be a little bit too much. So that was my thinking anyway, that maybe the cardstock would be a little bit too much for this in particular. So I'm going to close that up. I glued the inside to close it up, and then I'm just going to, this is folded over, and I'm just going to attach it right here like this. So I'm going to put some glue right there and turn this over and just, you know, kind of eyeball, get it in the middle, glue that down. And that's what I did with the other ones. I glued it down, I let it dry a little bit, and then I just opened this up like this and ran it through the sewing machine. But if you're not going to sew, then this is what you do, right? Okay, so we're going to put that one in there, like so. Oops, it's not quite dry. Oh, heavens. Okay, well, we're just going to leave that there. Okay, moving on. So, we got the same thing on this side. So I'm going to put down double stick tape. You don't have to use double stick tape. If you don't have double stick tape, don't worry about it, you know. Just use a really good glue. Art glitter glue is good. Reptile is excellent. Fabric Fix, that would be an excellent choice too. I wouldn't use I don't know about some others. I don't think I would use glue stick. You want something that's going to hold really well. So yeah, just use a good quality glue and make sure you've got it, you know, plenty of glue on there. And yeah, you can totally do it that way. You don't need to use the double stick. I know that tends to be kind of expensive, so I just happen to have quite a bit of it because I use it a lot when I'm doing memory keepers. Not so much journals, but memory keepers, I do use it a lot, so that's why I have it. But there we go. Put that down really good. And now we don't want to forget that where these dots are going up there, we want a bead of glue as well. Just to, that's what forms 3 little pockets. So it doesn't need to be a heavy, you don't want it heavy, you don't want so much glue that when you put it down it's going to ooze out everywhere, because that's going to lessen the room you have in your pockets if you've got glue oozing out because you've got too much. So just a very thin line of glue. Okay, and these I did the same thing with. I did not cut off any of my strings though. Sorry about that. I know some people leave their thread hanging, and I try and do that, but I guess my OCD won't let me. I don't know, but yeah, I've tried to do that, and in some instances I think, okay, that works with, you know, the style or whatever, you know. So I have on occasion left them. There are times if I'm using a heavier thread, I've actually left the strings of thread hanging and put beads on. I've done that. So you never know what kind of tidbits you're going to pick up, you know. That way, you know, if you click off too soon and not watch, you know, the full video, you might miss out on some really good tips and tricks and what have you. So, yeah, just saying. just saying. Okay, so get that. Well, why are you doing this? It's the paper. You know, maybe a thicker paper would have been a better idea, and maybe on those pieces in particular, running it through the computer, or, you know, running it through the printer again and printing the design on the one side, in this case for these little guys, might be a good idea. So you get a heavier piece of paper without it being really bulky, because, you know, you're not actually putting it down. You're not, you know, gluing other, you know, more paper to it. So this one is this center flap. Again, this flap should have been put on here before putting down the backing. So, you know, this is another mess. It's another boo-boo. Well, I made all kinds of boo-boos, didn't we, in that first video? All kinds of boo-boos. Yeah, there's a lot of things you need to think about, you know, sticking down before you actually put that backing on. And I didn't do that. I was so, I don't know, I was so anxious that I just totally spaced it. I didn't make that mistake when I did when I made the first one. But for some reason, I sure made the mistake doing the second one. Isn't that funny? How sometimes the first one you do ends up being the best? I have found that to be true on a lot of things, you know. The first one you do should be a trial, and you learn from mistakes, you know, and yeah, you learn from your mistakes, and your second one is better. But I have not found that to be true for the most part. A lot of times it's the first one that comes out great, and after that they just go downhill. Okay, so on this one, underneath the flap, we have this pocket. So, and this also should have been put down, but I have come up with a solution for this little faux pas, and I'm hoping it will work out okay. And just that paper there isn't quite stuck down as much as I would like. So anyway, so this is going to go right over the top of that, and hopefully, see, and then I covered the back of this in the same paper I used for here, so it kind of hides. So yeah, there's always something you can do. If you mess up, don't worry. Don't panic. It's not the end of the world. You can figure out something. If you can't figure out something, then cover it up. I don't know. Or, you know, toss it in the bin and start over. It's just paper, right? I mean, you know, sometimes expensive paper, depending on what you're using. Digitals, just print them out again. You know, but yeah, it's not the end of the world, so don't, it's not that important in the scheme of things. Just make sure I'm getting that on there straight and it's not poking out somewhere where it shouldn't be poking out. Okay. Okay. Right. All right. Now, here's the bottom of it. It's the pocket that goes here. Okay. But we have these little doodads that we're going to put on. And I'm going to do this differently than what I did the first one. This one is going to be better. So I'm going to get out a couple of little brads. I think these white ones will probably work good for this. Oops, there's two right there. Okay. And I'm going to get out my pokey tool, and I'm going to get out my little scrunchie pad here, and we are going to hope I'm in frame. Am I in frame? Yeah, I think so. So we're going to just kind of eyeball the middle of that and poke a hole through it. And put in one of these brads. Okay. And actually, maybe I don't put in the brad right now. So we have our pokey tool. And now, what we want to do is kind of eyeball. You know, it's not the end of the world where this is placed. I don't know which one would look better here. I guess they're both about the same, aren't they? So I think I want it right about there. So I'm going to bring this over to my little sponge and hold that in place and just go right through it. Get my brad. These brads have tiny little legs, so if your paper is too thick, it's not going to work. Okay, so I'm going to take my little pokey tool and kind of bend those back as much as possible. This is the other thing I use this tape for, is the back of a brad. If I can get to it, I cover it. I cover the back of that brad. Ew, I got glue coming off on everything. Oh well, no one's gonna see it, right? So that's the other thing I use this tape for, is to cover up the back of a brad if I can get to it, because that sure helps after the fact, you know. It really helps because, again, that brad back there is going to mess about with, you know, things that you're trying to slide in and out of a pocket or wherever, a tuck spot or wherever it might be. That brad is going to mess about with your stuff. So I just want to make sure I get that down at the bottom, but these are lined up. There we are. Some more of this. Yeah, I'm not really sure if this tape is any cheaper than normal, you know, just normal Scotch tape, or, you know, some other kind of tape you might use. I kind of doubt if it's cheaper. I mean, it's medical, you know, it's a medical supplies thing, so I don't necessarily know why it would be cheaper. It's kind of, well, a lot of tapes are translucent too, aren't they? So that's not it. It's more of a, I don't know, it kind of feels like a fabric almost. Got some glue in there, that's not good. Don't want that. Okay, bring that up, hold that down. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing here. I didn't fold that brad down or anything, so no worries with that. So now, where do we want to place this? I kind of want to get them lined up so they're about the same here. I don't know, just like that. And we will come in with our pokey tool and get that. Oops. Oops. Okay, maybe I need to do one and then the other. Where are you? There we go. So, spread those out. Push them down good. And something like this, we can't do this tape because this is showing. But I'll show you another trick. And maybe you've already done this or thought of it or whatever. But I'm going to take my little hole punch and I am going to find, I don't know if I can find that same paper that I used on there. I'm just trying to see if I can find what I used. Aha, that's it. So, I'm going to take my, okay, there we go. Take my hole punch and, where is it? Right there. And I'm going to glue that right over so it's covering this. Now this is laying down pretty good. It's not snaggy at all. Like some, you know, are really snaggy and you can't seem to get it to, you know, lay down well. So this is a great way to do this, you know. If it's something that's going to be visible, then if you have the same paper or contrasting or something that would look okay, you know, just glue that down over the top, and that way, you know, those little prongs aren't interfering with anything and no one's gonna catch their finger on it or, you know, anything like that. So there we go. Now we want string. Where's my pokey tool? Okay, where are you? There you are. Put you back. And we're going to get out some string. So, what color? I suppose the blue, huh? So get out some of this twine. Okay. Put that away. And now we want to come in here and put that around that. And tie, we want to tie a knot, so we're going to go that way and then this way, hopefully, to give it a square knot. It's a tiny little piece to work with. I probably should have given myself more to work with. Oops, come on. There we go. There we go. And we could just clip that off. Okay, so maybe use a smaller scissors and trim that off. Smaller, sharper scissors. Okay, so there we go. And now we can bring this around and we have a natural space because of that brad. You have a natural space that this twine slides into quite easily. So there's that. Isn't that fun? Okay, so moving on. We don't have time to appreciate our work. Get this stuff out of the way. Okay, so here we have a belly band. Now, the let me get out the See, I'm glad I still have these because I can show you stuff that's on. This is another trick. So get out your pad and paper. All right, so you see this belly band has two wings on it to give it, you know, more space. Okay, if you add wings, you're going to get more space to put things in. Depending on what you're putting in there, however, that could be too much space, right? And things slip out easily. So if you're putting something really bulky in there, that's going to be fine. Is that in frame? I don't know that it is. If I turn it this way, it'll be better. Okay, so if you're putting things that's really bulky in there, that would be fine. But if what you're putting in there isn't so bulky, they could be slipping out, right? Because there's just too much space. So one thing that I have learned, especially if perhaps you don't know exactly what's going to go in there, and you don't know exactly how much space you need, what I've done is I've kept one wing and I've cut off the other. That way it gives you a little bit more room than if you didn't have this wing and you just glued it down like that. It would be a very small area. This gives you a little bit more space, but not so much that two wings would give you. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to put glue on the wing and then just run a big bead of glue across the top here. And then this goes on the inside flap. Trying to get it straight. Okay. So anyway, that's another little trick. So you've got the best of both worlds. So you can put something a little more thick in here without it sliding out. A little bit more thick than you would normally anyway. So we're going to let that dry. When I did the first one, what I put in here was the coin envelope, and I did the same thing with this one. It's a half wing, so this fits in there nicely. It's not too snug, but it's not so loose that that's going to be falling out. So that's what would go there, but I'm going to let that dry good before we do anything like that. Okay, so we're on the home stretch, and on this is where this pocket goes. It has several pieces. Let me show it to you. Here we go. So this has all these pieces. All this is for this. And again, you know, when I ran it through the printer and I printed on this back side, all these pieces were the same, right? So that didn't give me a whole lot of options. So when I did it this way, I'm getting, you know, I'm getting some contrast, I'm getting some differences. So there's the pocket, this piece is the backing, and then this piece is these three pieces. We've got this back one, which is this larger one, this smaller piece that goes right here, and then this tab that goes right there. So that's that. All these are is this piece, and it's called library pocket. Okay. So we want to, and this all goes together, and then you put it down. So yeah, so this paper is quite thick because it's done on cardstock, and it has another piece of paper that's been applied to it, and so that has made it quite chunky. I'm going to trim this down a little bit because I've got too much bulk here in the corners. Of course, I get carried away and then I lose my point. Well, that happens all the time, right? I get carried away and I lose my point in what I'm talking about. Okay, so again, I'm going to use some double stick on the bottom. One. Now with double stick tape, one thing you really have to keep in mind is that you never want it anywhere paper is going to be. So putting it on the back side of these wings is great, but don't let any of it, you know, come over here or come over here, because double stick tape never dries. It's always sticky, right? So if any part of it is in a place where, you know, papers that's going to go in and out of it like a pocket, you know, papers or tags or what have you that you're putting in and out of a pocket, well, they could totally get caught up. So I'm just making sure I have that centered as much as possible. Glue that down and come along and do one of these. Yeah, so, you know, the thing about art glitter glue or any of these other glues is once they're dry, they're dry. They're no longer gonna be sticky. But with double stick tape, it never dries, so it's always going to be sticky. So if you're working with double stick tape, that's the most important thing to keep in mind. Other than, you know, running some kind of liquid glue over the top of it, so you have wiggle room to put it down, because double stick tape will grab instantly and it's not gonna let go. So, and ask me how I learned that lesson, right? Ask me how I learned that lesson. Okay, so you know, I just like to run my bone folder in, you know, just to make sure that there's nothing catching on anything, right? And so now this is just, you know what, that is real bumpy with those on there, so let me move this. I hope I'm in frame. Yes. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to put this over to the side a little bit and down towards the bottom, and I'm going to glue here and here and leave this open to be, you know, kind of a tuck spot for something. And because I want it to be a tuck spot, I'm not using the double stick glue. Because if you put double stick glue in somewhere where you're going to use as a tuck spot, you're going to have nothing but trouble. Trust me on that. Okay. So I kind of think that this flap here, even though it is cardstock that I used, and I did cover it on both sides, I still feel like maybe it, you know, could be a little bit more substantial, but I don't know how I would do that. And then this is already glued together, so this just slips in here like that. Bring this up, and here we go. And so now we have this tuck spot where we could put something in there. I kind of wish, when I printed out this ephemera, I kind of wish I would have ran it through the printer again and put, you know, like plain backing type paper, you know, so the back would be covered with, you know, copy dyed looking or something like that. That's always, you know, that's always a thing to keep in mind too when you're printing out ephemera. Whether you think you're going to, you know, need the back of it showing or not. I mean, some you just glue down, right? And that's the end of it. But if it's already backed, you don't have to worry about it. You know, if you glue it down, you glue it down. But if you end up not gluing it down, then the back is, you know, finished, as it were. You know, just something I think about. So we have this little postcard thing, and you know, it's not finished or anything, but you know, we could tuck something like that in there, or who knows, right? So here's our coin envelope. That should be ready. So that's gonna slip in there, and it's snug enough. What is that? What's happening here? Oh, I missed a part. I should have trimmed that off. So it's snug enough to where it's not flopping around and going to fall out. But it's not so tight that it's a struggle to get it in either. Let's see. So, gee, that is everything. We are done. Look at that. Uh-oh. Now, oops-a-daisy. Okay, so this had unintended consequences. So this is really thick right here, because all these pockets are cardstock. So I've got 3 layers there. Plus I've got this layer. Plus now I have this one. And that is causing a problem with this. So this isn't wide enough to accommodate all that's going on right there. I wonder if we do it this way, that works a little better. Still. Oh, you know what I did? Oh, geez, here we go again. I didn't have this moved over far enough. I glued it right on top of where that should bend. That's what the problem is. I should have been over this way more. So I was clear of this side. See, I have a lot of room here, and I should have been over more because I'm right on where it folds. So, my bad. See? That go like that, and that works a little bit better, but you know, there again, my first one turned out perfect. So oh boy, I'll tell ya. Anyway, do as I say, not as I do. That's what my dad always used to say. Do as I say, not as I do. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that project. It's a lot of fun to make. It really is. And it's a simple folio. Doesn't have a lot of flippies and floppies and going back and forth, but you know, it's just a nice little folio that you can make and give to a friend. You can make it for your dad. You can make it, you know, for anybody, really. Just be careful of where you place things. Make sure you're clearing where the fold is. And I hope that a lot of my tips and tricks help you, and that you get some good value from that. Oh, I printed the coin envelope a second time in a smaller size, so I can slip that right in there like that. So anyway, thanks for joining me. And you know, if we didn't have messes, well, you know, life like art is messy. So with my channel, you get the good, the bad, and the ugly. I don't edit. So I don't edit any of these things out and make it look like I'm perfect. So what you see is what you get. It's not edited. Because, well, frankly, I don't know how. So until next time, take care of you. Love each other, and I'll see you again. Bye.